Okay, my stuff should be ready now. So
Oh,
we're gonna be getting in. Oops, I think I'm in the wrong part. Let's see, what is this? This is Rialto. I think I'm supposed to be on the other map. Okay, this should be the beginning. Perfect. Alright, so welcome to my first analysis of the Pups Academy team. This is going to be my first team analysis that I'm going to be uploading to YouTube. And we're going to be going over, well, try out Scrims, but also kind of like just, we're going to do a general team analysis of how the Pups play, how they can do better at what they are doing, what mistakes they're making that cause them to lose in fights, and so on. So I'm just gonna put it into theater mode because it's nice to see things this way. Plus, I like to record things just this way. As you can see, that I've just started recording. The team is getting ready to do some nice attack. We're just gonna probably bring it to here. Okay, this is actually quite a nice pick right over here. So off the bat, we are going with two compositions. One is the goats, and the other is, well, a 2-2. So this is my team, the 2-2 death ball against goats. As for how this kind of goes right over here, right now my team technically has the compositional disadvantage. However, it's a slight disadvantage. It's the slight disadvantage isn't really like something any big difference enough that the Pups should worry about at this level specifically yet. At this level of play, they should worry more about their individual matchups, their game sense, their positioning, and their basic mistakes that they make at this level. So right now, we're basically going to be looking at so right now our composition is Tracer, Hanzo, which is quite nice. Our Tracer player here, Krev, he's actually quite a pop-off. Nightmare, quite new to the team. In this scrim, if I'm not mistaken, he was still trying out, so so it's quite nice. So in this one, we have Hanzo and Zarya, which is a nice synergy for a good grab. We have an Ana to nano the Reinhardt, and we have a defensive ult, which is just always nice to have. Granted, they have two people that will have defensive ultimates, and we only have one. But we do have an ult combo, whereas these guys, okay, well, they do also have an ult combo, and that is Zarya and Diva. But like, we also have like a combo where you can nano the Reinhardt and immediately turn the tides of fight, especially since nanoing Reinhardt would be so good over here since they are GOAT's composition. Reinhardt is always the strongest piece in against GOATs because he is the one that is able to swing against the other Reinhardt, and if damage boosted or supported enabled the most, Reinhardt is going to basically give his team probably the biggest advantage ever in terms of damage, pressure, and space. And those are very important. So we're just going to go over how these guys open up. Off the bat, it's a little bit mediocre. However, Nightmare gets a nice pick onto the Zenyatta. That's pretty good right there. So he gets himself some 15% ult charge immediately, and the healers can't recover from that. So unfortunately,
oh my!
Our boy Newt over here gets a nice boop.
I'm on break.
I noticed that our Hanzo player Nightmare is like gets stunned. I'm not too sure what happened. Let's look at this right over here. So Kreb is playing right over here. That's how he does get in the back of the lines. That's good.
God,
I see. So Nightmare is actually playing over here, trying to play behind the shield because he's trying to grab an angle where he doesn't take too much damage. Honestly, even if he did hold this high ground over here, it wouldn't be the most optimal for him. So maybe an improvement they could have made in their opening over here, if they wanted to utilize the Hanzo to the most ultimate proficiency, is to position the Reinhardt up over here and have the Zarya just kind of split, like play down or play with the Rein up here, and just focus on trying to enable the Rein and trying to focus on enabling the Hanzo as the payload's being pushed. And then once the payload is like pushed to like at this point here, then the Reinhardt and the Zarya drop down to over here and start contesting the payload that way. And And when they do that, their Hanzo will probably have the most ult charge and probably maybe even a pickup. While these people, while the tanks just try to like push the
Oh my.
over here I noticed that the brig kind of goes out alone. I can see this is like this is either a coordination error, which I don't think is a coordination error because people in this rank actually have a lot of awareness issues. So I believe this is an awareness issue by the Brigitte thinking that she can get out alive when really clearly she cannot. First off, she bashed towards the Reinhardt, and the Reinhardt was full HP. That's something you don't want to do as Brigitte, like, because as Reinhardt, like, Brigitte is only 250 HP, you're 500 HP, she does 30 damage per swing, you do 75. You could easily kill a Brigitte after she stuns you and knocks you back. So this Brigitte is definitely dead. Unfortunately, they don't really have the best. I noticed that the Reinhardt didn't immediately like full on aggress onto the Brigitte, so let's just look at this real quick over here. So let's pay attention to Reinhardt and how he tries to execute the Brigitte.
Oh my.
Punishing her. So the Brigitte immediately like pushes in.
One brig. Brig's one.
And so that was the thing right there. What happened was that since the only reason why Brigitte died over there was because of the Hanzo arrow. If Nightmare had missed that arrow, then the Brigitte would have been able to get out alive. So one thing that Milk should have done is he should have just kept pressing W to get the kill. There's nothing wrong with pressing W and trying to get a kill if you can stay alive. The only times it's wrong is when you die for it, when you feed too much ult charge for it. Well, but then again, that's even debatable too. It's just mainly just dying for it. You don't want to die. You don't want to die trying to get a kill. That's called being greedy and overextending. In this situation, it's not being greedy and overextending. It's just basically capitalizing and following up.
Nizu.
And Milk didn't follow up, which forced Nightmare. And Nightmare was basically was given the responsibility to kill the Brig himself. When clearly Milk could have killed the Brig.
DJ, don't fucking tempt that shit, I swear to God.
What? What?
Stand up.
Reloading.
I'm holding this corner, guys.
It's too loud for me.
It's a good corner.
It's a nice corner. Come on, Ryan. Nine. Okay.
I notice Milk plays very passively over here. He doesn't seem to know how to play his aggression. So one thing that Milk, I see he already did make a mistake of is he started playing very defensively despite the fact that he, one, has heals behind him right over here, and that there's not really that much people shooting, so, and plus the Reinhardt did back up and he immediately backed up too quickly, like he backed up too quickly here. What I believe he could have done is that since he still had full HP and an Ana behind him, he could have still kept probably pressing forward, but then once he then recognized when the enemy would start pushing onto him, because they realize the enemy does have a Lucio, they have a Brig, they have a Zenyatta, he can get discorded, stunned, focused, and killed. So I do find it reasonable, but however, he did force the Reinhardt back here. Let's just rewatch this clip. So the Reinhardt does charge. Actually, this would have been a very perfect opportunity to counter charge from Milk. What Milk could do right here, because he was actually, if I am not mistaken, in a perfect position to charge the Reinhardt. Watch it. Yeah, this is actually a perfect opportunity. So Milk could have went for a counter charge to really punish the Reinhardt over here out of position. However, he doesn't go for it. He just goes for a hammer swing. So unfortunate by him. Needs an improvement on that. Oh, and another thing is that he didn't play aggressively in a bubble. Whenever a Reinhardt gets bubbled, you need to play super aggro, because that Zarya is literally investing and trusting you with that cooldown that she could have used on someone else for those 8 seconds. Whenever a Zarya bubbles a Reinhardt, that means that Zarya trusts that Reinhardt to go super aggro, super in, and just do tons of damage and take tons of damage. What Milk did here is he backed off when he got bubbled. So maybe he was too slow to react about the fact that he got bubbled. Maybe that he just needs to work on his reaction time. Maybe it was a fundamental error. He doesn't have the fundamental knowing that he should always push in super aggro, especially when he has full HP. Like, that's the point, is that Reinhardt is the most strongest. Like I said, Reinhardt is the most strongest character in GOAT's compositions. So always enabling your Reinhardt to do the most out of that fight is going to be so important, not just for ult charge, but for the advantages you can gain if you enable your Reinhardt. Because sometimes you're not going to enable picks, you're not going to enable openings or angles, you're just going to enable advantages, and those advantages come, like I said, in the form of space, pressure, and damage. And so Mel could have put out a lot of damage and a lot of pressure here. As you can see, the Reinhardt on this red team actually got damaged quite a lot. And, well, actually not quite a lot, but quite a bit. And Mel could have easily kept pushing aggro onto the team, and he could have gotten a ton more swings if he just hopped onto this payload. And then once he probably like took 200 damage, he could have immediately reacted and then backed up, and then had his Lucio speed him out, and then they kind of just like reset, restabilize, and even if the team tries to speed onto the Reinhardt, the team can just peel him out. And plus they also can't just really, plus the Goats team also has to deal with Tracer in the back line, Hanzo shooting from the high ground, maybe, okay, not on the high ground actually in this position here, but it would be nice if there was a Hanzo on the high ground here to shoot down at them, because then it would have forced D.Va to concentrate on the Hanzo. So like D.Va would have been forced, and if D.Va's like concentrating on the Tracer, then a D.Va won't even be able to contest Hanzos. That would be really good for them. And also they have to deal with Lucio in the back line. So see, like, lots of aggression here to be played. There's so much enabling, but the Reinhardt isn't capitalizing on it. So yeah.
Okay, backing.
So that's the first. So that's kind of like the first instance we see of up a mistake.
Right, you crazy motherfucker.
Oh no, I'm reloading.
Okay. So both the Reinhardt and the Lucio died, despite the advantage they had. This like, remember when I said these guys had a big advantage? Well, they just died. Let's see how come.
Backing.
So Newt actually does take a lot of damage. He does get killed for it. I noticed that Milk doesn't even try to save his Lucio. Yeah, he doesn't even try to save his Lucio. In fact, this Lucio actually speeds the Reinhardt and the D.Va onto the other Lucio. And that was actually quite bad. Oh, and then Milk gets discorded.
I'm reloading.
And then he gets bursted down. I actually wonder what actually killed him there. Because he was 200 HP. He was 43, 28, 15, 24, 13, 9.
Oh no, I'm reloading.
It was a D.Va. The D.Va and the Reinhardt bursted the Reinhardt down. That's why he died. Because Zenyatta was at like 41% ult charge, so he didn't do that much damage to the Reinhardt. However, this Reinhardt and this D.Va did a lot of damage, so that kind of does make sense because those two are focusing the Reinhardt. So let's actually kind of go back over here. But I have a feeling that if we look at our Lucio over here and look at his position, Lucio is playing very aggressive.
Nine.
He has the high ground, he does damage, however he goes in quite deep, and he tries to reset, he gets low, that's quite fine. Usually you want to reset and get low. Oh, that's what happened. That's how the Lucio died. He made a mechanical error. Look at this.
9.
He made a mechanical error, and... oh, no, he didn't make a mechanical error, he just didn't expect the fact that he could get out alive. See, okay, lots of corrections being made in my analysis here every time I look back at it. You see, this is the importance of double checking, triple checking, and even quintuple checking, people. Always quintuple check your VOD reviews and your analysis to see what actually happened. Right here, I thought Newt was just playing aggressive in the backline. I thought he was okay. No, he wasn't okay. It wasn't even basically what I guessed. What actually happened here is he thought he could just get himself a boot, but he got so greedy that he got punished for it, because then when he dropped off the high ground, he didn't properly get back onto the high ground. So if we kind of look at this execution right here, the Lucio jumps off. He creates distance. He creates quite a bit of distance from himself and the wall. Since Lucio has a wall riding skill, what he should have done here is he should have tried to drop, but still try to keep the distance close between him and the wall. Like when he jumped, I'm just gonna make this an imaginary line right here. When he jumped, he created this distance. What he should have done between him and the wall is he should have jumped off, but still try to keep the distance between him and the wall close, so that way he could wall ride and then get back to the high ground safely more easier. Because he did not because he did
Okay, back and
not
back.
easily reset. Look at that. He's still on the low ground, and the people speed onto him because he's low. And then he gets killed.
Crazy mother.
It's unfortunate that Mel couldn't have saved him.
Fucker.
I mean, even though he could have probably been saved,
Oh no.
I feel like Mel could have maybe used his charge here, but mainly this is actually new. This is mainly Lucio.
Reloading.
And Melk's decision here wasn't really any better either, as it did feed. If I was to look over here again and just look at this as Reinhardt with my brand new analysis,
Fred, you crazy motherfucker.
Oh no.
yeah, too deep. This is one thing that Melk needs to realize in his positioning, and that's when he goes in too deep. First off, when you go in as Ryan, when you aggress onto Ryan, when you aggress as Ryan, you don't want to you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you are surrounded by enemies. You see, this right here, this area is easily a pincer attack by a lot of enemies. And it's even worse if one of the enemies has a Zenyatta, because you're much more easier to kill. Whenever they try to create this sort of concave sort of shape, you as a Reinhardt need to make sure that you're not in this concave sort of shape, because they will collapse in onto you, and then you're going to get focused from all sides, being surrounded. Let me use a different color for better visualization. You're going to get surrounded, get focused by everyone, because you're so deep in, and then you die immediately. When you're playing as Reinhardt, and they create this sort of like concave position, you want to make sure that you kind of like stay out of this. Like, if you gotta know the cave, you kind of gotta imagine the cave right here, and try to not fall too deep into it. Like, maybe you could press a little into it, but not too deep into it. Like, this is bad. This is maybe good. Like, maybe. So that's one thing you need to recognize. If he maybe like pushed out to over here, he could have had a better retreat option. Or maybe if he played this corner over here, he could have been able to block himself from the Zenyatta, and probably not get discorded. And if he did get discorded, he wouldn't have easily gotten, like, how'd you say it, focused immediately, because Lucio was over here and he was speeding. However, him kind of like going into the enemy was just a stupid decision. So, like, let me just watch this one more time.
Back. Fred, you crazy motherfucker.
Oh no. I'm reloading. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah. Melk shouldn't have gone in deep like that. He should have tried to stay out. You see, oh, check it out. See, this is what happens when you kind of like allow yourself to get surrounded. See, there's a person behind here. A Reinhardt doesn't have a 360 shield. He only has a flat surface, something like that. Maybe like a little bit of a curve, but really in reality, it's just like it's just fucking flat. It only blocks one side, you know. That's why you as Reinhardt don't want to get surrounded.
Whoa.
Sadly, the team kind of like, check this out. I also noticed this by team. Check this. It's very slight, but it's still bad. So the team had a surrounding formation around, like a collapsing formation around the Zarya. However, when we get to this point, oh, I'm not on the arrow.
I'm sorry.
When we get to this point, then the Zarya has a retreat option. So instead of it being like surrounding the Zarya, it is instead only surrounding one half. So this is bad by the enemy team. What they should have kept doing with this position is they should have put their men right over here to keep surrounding the Zarya, so it would have been harder for the Zarya to focus. This is bad play by the enemy team. And the Zarya takes longer to kill.
Reset.
Oh no.
And here's me being a fucking shitty ass spectator because I can't get a good angle. Nightmare ends up choosing a shitty pathway that gets him killed eventually. Oh well.
Okay, bro.
Oh no! Nightmare, I tried. Oh god.
You're good. I was trying to get my
I'm discorded.
dash reset.
We out here? We're waiting for Nightmare.
Alright, so they only have 5, and they're going to be going up against 6. It's quite unfortunate, but, if they can possibly... Right now, this team is in a losing position, but this is something that I'm going to, like, talk about that's very important whenever you're playing any sort of competitive environment. So, say, for instance, you're done with Overwatch, and you go into a different game, take this advice with you, because this is very important. Even when in a losing situation, or in a disadvantageous situation, like you're in a disadvantage here, don't let the enemies get this for free. If you're going to lose, lose hard. If you're going to lose, make them use this ultimate. Make them use this ultimate. If you're going to lose this fight, you're going to make them pay for it. You're going to be the most formidable opponent. You're going to be the most hardest for them to win. And this is very important because there's situations where clutching out is so important. In the New York Excelsior, there was a time where Sabiobi and I think Neko were trying to stall the point on the Paul Shrine, and they were basically going against 4 people. But then Sabiobi and Neko just kind of picked one person off at a time. Sabiobi was Tracer, Neko was Diva, and Diva just kept staying alive. Sabiobi just kept staying alive, and they picked off one person at a time over and over and over. Like, every 5 seconds they kept picking off a person, and then Nixel members started returning, and then as the other team's members were starting to return, I can't remember if it was Houston Outlaws maybe, or it was San Francisco Shock. It was one of the... I feel like it was one of the Western teams. I know it probably was, because it wasn't Korean. But yeah, and what happened was that the team actually ended up winning the fight, because what happened was that New York Excelsior made it so hard for that other enemy team to win that the enemy team crumbled under the pressure and sheer difficulty that the New York Excelsior gave them, and that team just ended up losing in the end rather than paying so much and barely making it out alive with that clutch. Like, the other team couldn't clutch enough, and New York Excelsior just clutched so hard to the point where they ended up winning the game. And this is the importance of always being a tough opponent. If you're going to lose, always make it hard to lose. So, back to this spot over here. This team is playing in a disadvantageous position. They only have 5. They have 6. One team has Shatter, the other doesn't.
You're good. You can
Reloading.
push up.
Say, for instance, the payload was right over here. If they had to engage now, of course, like, the payload's still coming, so this gives, like, Nightmare some time to respawn and come back to the fight, and it ends at 6v6. But say, for instance, the payload was, like, right over here, okay? The team has to engage now. Someone has to contest. What could happen over here in this scenario is that Reinhardt contests the payload, Uwu basically gets the nano, and then Uwu nanos this Reinhardt here. This Reinhardt possibly tries to do a counter shatter to counter the Reinhardt's aggression, but then this Reinhardt blocks the shatter, gets his ultimate up, and then there's no ultimate for this guy, and then this Reinhardt shatters maybe 2 people. Let's just make 3 people. Okay, it's not the Reinhardt, but he shatters these 3 because Reinhardt's can block their shield and like leave some people exposed. So the nanoed Reinhardt shatters these 3 people. Then he focuses the Brigitte, fire strikes her. Then all of a sudden it's a 5v5, and then within a few seconds it'll be a 6v5. Then they probably try to get another kill. They focus the Reinhardt. Then the Reinhardt's under immediate pressure because he has to deal with maybe the Zarya on the Reinhardt. The Zarya is dealing with the Reinhardt, and maybe the Tracer is like on the backline on the Zenyatta, maybe on the Lucio, maybe also on the Reinhardt. And that would allow the team to create a lot of pressure and make it very hard for the team to win. So say for instance Higgs did manage to block the shatter, he would still have his team and him would still have to take care of blocking the of like trying to deal with the Tracer in the back, the nanoed Reinhardt for a few more seconds, possibly losing their Brigitte, maybe even if they had 6, like, this team alone would have bought so much time. Like, they wouldn't have this ultimate, but they would have had... They wouldn't have this ultimate, and they wouldn't have this ultimate, but they also wouldn't have this ultimate. Because then this Reinhardt would have blocked it because he clutched. See, the importance of clutching. And this team is... And slowly, if this team plays well, they can sometimes create themselves an equal and even position. And if they keep clutching it out against the enemy team, they can win the fight. See? Importance of clutching, people.
Reloading again?
So yeah, now we're in a 6v6 situation. So as for how so now we're kind of going to approach this from a more equal standpoint. One has Shatter, the other doesn't. However, one's close to Nano, the other doesn't have a Nano. At this point, this team could probably go for like a Nano Reinhardt, draw Transcendence. This is a good block by Milk.
Yeah, no.
Milk shouldn't have allowed himself to get charged there, so check this out. If we just go to over here, this is actually a weird position by Milk. Say for instance, the Reinhardt did charge and Milk counter-charged. Milk would have actually not liked this because Milk is completely out in the open. So this is actually a positional mistake by Milk. If anything, since he can't really do much, like say for instance Milk does get bubbled and he does get some sort of like enabling, he gets healed, he can't really do much because because this Reinhardt here forces him to block Shatter, which means he has to keep his shield up. Then he tries to charge the Reinhardt, which forces this Reinhardt to counter charge, and this keeps Milk in a stunned position, allowing the team to focus him. And so he would have to get enabled even after being enabled to stay out here. Because he first has to get enabled to stay out here, but then he has to keep getting enabled to stay alive after this Reinhardt fucks with him. So it's really quite an awkward position that Milk is in here right now. Maybe a more better position is over here. Because even though the payload kind of goes forward, at least you're in less risky chances of dying, which is important. You don't want to be in risky chances of dying. Oh my god.
Yeah, no.
And so this is actually a mistake. So this was a mistake by Milk in 2 ways. However, Milk just made 2 mistakes, and one was worse than the other, and Milk just eventually died.
Run.
So that was unfortunate by Milk. He should have blocked that charge.
I'm reloading. Oh, I tried.
I almost went grab.
Back up.
Yeah, we can grab Dragon out of the gate.
I'm just gonna say it now, you guys need to start call faster. I completely forgot about that on King's Row, but on this map you guys need to call out targets once you can.
Yeah. You're right.
Thank you.
Quite important on what I said there. Like speed shot calling.
Go,
I don't see anyone.
grab Dragon right on
Milk, you misunderstood me in that sentence. When I say speed shot calling, I don't mean shot call at this moment. Like, first off, when you do begin to shot call at this phase of the fight, since there is no downtime during a scrim fight, during a scrim, what you could be doing at this time of the fight is to be looking for an ult planning. So this is where you start at this phase of the fight when you are regrouping and coming back. At this phase of the fight, you want to start planning ultimates. Okay, so you have a Graviton. What can you combo it with? You can combo it with Grav. You can combo it with Dragon. You can combo it with Tracer. You can combo it with Ryan Hammer. What do they have to counter your Graviton and maybe this combos? They have a Lucio, they have a Zenyatta, both have defensive ultimates. Did you guys track the ultimates? Do you guys probably know if the Lucio or Zenyatta has ultimates? Probably. Who knows? If you guys know if the Zenyatta has ultimates, then you guys are definitely going to find a way to. You guys are probably going to start creating counterplay where you get your Ana in there, get your Ana into maybe a high ground position, and then when your Zarya does grab, for instance, then you combo it with the Dragon, and you nade the enemy team, and then kill the team, despite the Zenyatta transcending. So that's one sort of counterplay. What else kind of players? What else kind of ult planning can you guys do here? One ult planning that you guys can actually do, which is something a little more advanced, but also very fun to pull off, is you enable your Reinhardt to be super aggressive against the enemy Reinhardt, that despite the amount of peels and protection that this Reinhardt is receiving, since you guys do have Nano, and you do have a Bomb, and you guys do have a Hanzo, if the Hanzo, Tracer, and Sleep, Nade, and Nano was to focus this Reinhardt here, like the Nano, like through this Reinhardt onto this Reinhardt would die, then you would use this Shatter to shatter the entire enemy team behind. Because if you can break the bubble, of course there's going to be a high energy Zarya. Like, it doesn't fucking matter if the Zarya has high energy. The Zarya's always going to have high energy anyways. You just got to play around that with a shield. Because it's going to, like, high energy Zaryas are very difficult to avoid, especially if they're good. So usually if they pop out their shield, of course if you have the ability to not shoot it, then don't shoot it. However, if you are busy trying to kill something and the Zarya bubbles it, don't stop shooting. Just, like, shoot through the bubble, hope you kill the bubble quicker, and then kill that person through that bubble, and hopefully that you can win an advantage. Because, like, sometimes Zaryas will just bubble their teammates in order to buy time for their teammates, and it's kind of stupid that people do fall for it, because really sometimes the point of the bubbles is not even to get charge or to protect their Reinhardt or their teammate. It's just to buy time, and it's just to buy time for their teammate through, like, having the bubble up, because then all of a sudden the enemy team is just like, oh no, I'm too scared to shoot bubble. No. Whenever you have the ability to focus something constantly and keep focusing it, it probably will eventually die, and you can focus it through a bubble, even through defense matrix. So at this point, what this team could probably go for is a combo where they focus onto the Reinhardt, using the Nano to kind of, like, enable this Reinhardt to really go against this Reinhardt, and then kill this Reinhardt, shatter the entire enemy team behind, and then win the fight.
I'm gonna just make.
So yeah, that's, like, the second plan. As for what else they could probably go for, they could maybe go for a Graviton and a Bomb combo if this Zenyatta does use his trance, and that's gonna probably kill the Brigitte and the Lucio, but that's it. Yeah, that's it. Honestly, the Bomb isn't really that strong of a combo. In fact, Dragon probably would be more better, because, say for instance, Blue Jay does grab and Nightmare does Dragon, and the Zenyatta does Trance. All this team would have to do is just focus people through the trance. Like, they would just constantly keep having to do more and more and more and more damage, that they would burst through the entire trance and just kill people through transcendence. It's actually hilarious.
Okay, do you use her matrix?
Zenslow. Every
It's unfortunate that Kreb did get picked off here.
I'm reloading.
Go, teach.
So this was actually a bad play by Nightmare's Dragon. So we're going to go over this Dragon real quick and how come it was bad. Let's look at for... These guys obviously decided that they wanted to go for a Graviton Dragon combo. So let's see how they would have set it up. Blue Jay just grabs a team. Easy peasy, right? But then there is a D.Va, so you kind of have to play the mind games with D.Va. Once Matrix is down, then you shoot the Graviton. So now you gotta pay attention. Okay, is the D.Va gonna pay attention? Whenever you're, like, playing as whenever you're playing Hanzo against D.Va, it's very important that you track the D.Va's defense matrix. Is the D.Va defense matrixing now? Like, sometimes the Zarya's not gonna immediately throw a grab out, and the D.Va's gonna, like, wait for the chance that once the Zarya throws her grab out, then the Hanzo's going to want to Dragon, and then the D.Va's gonna hold up her defense matrix, and then the Hanzo's just gonna have his Dragon get eaten up. In order to kind of, like, counterplay this, sometimes you could just, like, shoot the D.Va, force up her matrix, then once her matrix is immediately down, then you Dragon, and then you Graviton. Because then the D.Va is now kind of like... The D.Va will try to eat it up, however she could be too late. And then you and then you like shoot the graviton and into the dragon, and then people get pulled into the graviton into the dragon, and then they die. So that's like one setup. Another setup over here is to just first focus the hell out of the fucking Diva mech. Like what Nightmare could have done over here is first just shoot the Diva mech. He's on the high ground here, so this is a perfect chance to focus it.
I'm reloading.
Go, teach.
Oh my
Unfortunate.
fucking god.
Yeah, Nightmare, you need to pay attention to Diva matrices more. Probably another way you could have done this is to have positioned yourself maybe like more further back from here. Because if you position yourself far enough from the grav, like say for instance if you're over here, even if the Diva Matrix kind of like tried to eat it, your arrow projectile that got eaten would have immediately turned into the Spirit Dragon, and then the team would have died.
That's incredible.
Jeez,
Nightmare.
Uh,
Nightmare, when you grab like that, and then when you try to drag him from your team, like, try not to go from behind.
oh, there's a Ryan on me.
Oh shit. How did Ryan live? What the fuck? He charged off the map.
Pay attention to the kill feed, Milk. Did you see on the kill feed that there was a dead Reinhardt? No. If there's a no dead Reinhardt, that means the Reinhardt is still alive.
Charged Ryan. Ryan's one. Alright. Reset.
We're in this issue again, Milk.
Alright, we're gonna regroup and then we're gonna nano. Dude, what the fuck is Ryan?
They're right outside us.
So there is this phase of the fight where the team is actually going to be pushing up. So the reason why the enemy Reinhardt actually shattered you guys over here was because they're trying to secure the second point. Despite them winning the last fight, what they're doing is they're creating a second fight immediately. Like they're basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to create their own engagement, which means they're basically sending in their own people to go in at their own time and fight at their own time and get picks at their own time. So right now, since the Reinhardt did shatter you guys here and he killed you guys here, this will be so nice because then that means this payload gets to keep getting pushed, and then they just win this point for free, just because you guys didn't see this engagement coming. Whenever like Reinhardts are quite unpredictable with their shatters. However, this was a predictable moment, at least in my eyes. But like for a player like Mel, who's not used to phases, who's not used to decisions like these being made by these players, who's not used to decisions like these, it is quite unpredictable. So it does make sense that he knows that you wouldn't have tried to gone that. It does make sense that you did not see the shatter coming.
What the fuck are they doing, dude?
So now you know what the fuck they're doing now.
Ryan's alone.
Okay, that was a...
Pin.
Oh my god. Get this fucking Ryan, I swear to god.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, he's dead.
See, check this out. The Reinhardt doesn't even care. He doesn't even care that they died.
Be careful, be careful.
However, one thing he probably does care about, I'm guessing he did not see in his plan, is that the payload is still being contested. But I don't think, but then again, there was so much damage done to this team that this team can't really even push out. Like, look at this. Low Zarya, low Reinhardt, very low Reinhardt, dead Anna, dead Tracer, half Lucio. Like, how the hell can he contest this? Wait, is a Lucio... Yeah, the Lucio is contesting. See?
How did I...
Such a
nude.
brawly game this
Contesting.
is. Look at that. Lucio was trying so hard to counterplay. So this was actually quite nice by Newt. Is that he set up a counterplay. Despite the Reinhardt, despite the intentions of this Reinhardt here, Newt, what he did is that he created a counterplay by taking advantage of the fact that about the fact that Reinhardt, I think Diva, probably Brigitte, yeah, Brigitte was pushed up. Actually, these three were pushed up. So Reinhardt, Zarya, and Diva were pushed up, and so that kind of left only a Brigitte, Lucio, and the Zenyatta on the payload. Maybe even like two, because I do remember there was like just two on there. I think. Let's just go back. Let's just go back to check real quick. So if we go back to here...
Dude, what the fuck is
Right, they're right outside us.
What the fuck are they doing?
Oh, they actually pushed 4 of their men up, if I'm not mistaken?
Mine's alone, mine's alone.
Okay, that was a...
You can get one, you can get one. Oh my god.
Okay, so yeah, actually never mind. They were pushing 5 of their men up. My bad. So this is what this team was the team was doing. You see, they pushed 5 of their men up, created their own engagement. Instead of the team playing on payload and pushing payload, waiting for the team to come to them, they instead took the fight to you guys and wanted to win the fight there.
Alright, we're gonna regroup and then we're gonna nano, dude, what the fuck is
Right, they're right outside us.
See?
What the fuck are they doing, dude?
Oh, and this is the importance of always enabling your Reinhardt. You see, this is the reason why Reinhardt is the most powerful character in the GOAT's composition.
Mine's alone,
Check
mine's
this
alone.
out. He shattered the entire team. He ends up taking out the
Pumpkin?
Hanzo. He took out the Anna.
Oh my
He
god.
got bubbled by his Zarya. Then he lowered
That's fucking right, I
Note's
swear to
health
God.
very far down. Look at that. This is the importance of enabling your Reinhardt. And guess what he was enabled by? Just a Zarya bubble. And that Zarya bubble allowed him to get this Reinhardt very low down.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, he's dead.
But back to the counterplay here. So what Newt was doing, Newt was basically trying to create a counterplay because this team wanted to push all their men up. This team wanted to push all their men up to over here, win the fight over here, and the payload would just keep pushing, and then they would catch second point. That was the plan. However, Newt, what he decided to do is that since there was barely anybody on the payload, he was like, hey, since everybody's pushed up mainly to over here, there's barely anywhere on the payload, I can live on the payload more longer, and I can live long enough to keep stalling so my team can respawn, and so when my team responds, we could possibly contest the team just at the last second. And that would be so good. So I'm going to do that, and hope it works out in the end. So good play by Newt. Right?
Zarya's half.
How did I...
Oh, Newt. Contesting.
See? Good counterplay by the Lucio player. Fortunately, he eventually died,
Oh,
but then now Nightmare is basically out. He's now like fighting those 2 people.
Alright, need to go.
However, he is alone. No, he's enabled by Diana. Check that out. Look at that. That was so good by Newt. It was also good by you guys as the Pups for trying to like fight back, despite the fact that their Reinhardt played so aggressively and tried to win all of you guys. He did get too greedy, and he did get killed for it eventually. And he probably should have tried to live a little more, or this team should have invested more ultimates and abilities into trying to kill this, into trying to kill you guys.
Alright, I still have Nano. Oh,
I almost lost one.
We're gonna shatter Nano here.
yep.
We gotta focus the Rhine guys, okay?
Yeah.
Their Rhine is their best player.
So, quite vanilla position. You guys are just like, yeah. Crab is in the back line, creating attention.
Reloading, reloading, reloading.
I'm gonna shatter soon.
Ooh, unfortunate by Nightmare. He dropped to low ground. He should have kept this high ground over here. And the funny thing was that Nightmare wasn't even, like, pressured to get off the high ground. Like, what Nightmare should have done over here is he should have just stayed on the high ground and kept trying to pressure the enemy. I think the main person he should have tried to target was this Reinhardt. Because if the Reinhardt was targeted, then it would have made it really hard for the Reinhardt to do anything. Because, one, he's on high ground, and he has a nice angle onto... Fuck, that's a horrible drawing. He's on high ground, and he has a nice angle to shoot at this Reinhardt here.
Shattering. It's the whole back line. Getting the enemy.
However,
Nice.
this Reinhardt just ends up getting
That's
betrayed. However, it is stupid, which means whenever you lose your main tank, you lose the strongest piece to the fight. Now, being that Milk is still alive and that Hanzo is dead, even though Hanzo is dead, Melk is still alive, which means he is able to literally carry his team, even though they do have Trance and they do have Barrier. Melk is nanoed. This is still more winnable for Pups Academy than it is for their team, because all they have to do, all this Pups Academy team has to do, is just enable the fuck out of their Reinhardt, and the Reinhardt just needs to play the fucking hella aggressively out of his mind, kill whoever is 200 HP and in front of him, and then do it again with the next person, and eventually win his team the fight. One thing that was super sad and stupid by our Ana player was the fact that our Ana player died to the Zenyatta. And that's when the team snowballed back into the red team's favor.
He was out. Oh my god.
If the Ana was alive, she could have kept healing the team. It's unfortunate.
I'm not making much of an impact right now.
Can we switch to get?
The reason why you didn't make much of an impact there, here, let's take a look. Let's take a look at your news. So, let's see, what could you have made an impact better on, okay? Your team, you and your team is just basically playing, like, fucking, this is the formations. There is a line right here, okay? Whoever crosses this line is playing aggressively, okay? So, you guys, what you're trying to do is you're trying to break this line because, that these two shields create, and then you're going to try to push off of that. However, things like to get a little people like to make things complicated and sophisticated, and this Reinhardt likes to open up the position by charging the Hanzo and then getting the pick onto the Hanzo. By the way, Nightmare, this is a mistake. This is the reason why you should have just probably stayed high ground, is because of, like, well, not really this, but this is an added bonus, but just so that way that you don't stay on this low ground over here, because this low ground is so much more dangerous than this high ground here. So Newt, how you feel, if you feel like you could have done anything better over here, one really good thing you could have done over here, as Lucio, is to just boop the enemy back. So, as Lucio, first off, the Zarya is a medium ranged hero, okay?